Hey there, guys and girls. Hello there, everyone. I thought I may as well go on a little bit early again because the tank's going really well, and I don't think there should be a lag at the minute. So let me know if there is or isn't. Whatever. Enjoy, and I'll put the music on in about a minute. I will say also, these waxworms have been in boiling water, and they were dead. I was pretty sure they were dead, and I even cut them up. I don't know why that one's decided to start wiggling now, but they were dead. Hey, Adino, and hey, Katrina, and who else is here? Oh, Roger, if you're still here, nice to see you, buddy. I don't exactly know who's here, but yeah. Hey there, thanks for signing in. Welcome to the picnic table ant chat. We start in half an hour after a bit of feeding in the multi-species tank. See you there. Hey there, guys and girls. Only 15 minutes left of this feeding before the interview starts. See you there. hello. Good evening.
Well, hello.
You right?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, brilliant. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Picnic Table Ant Chat. I believe this is episode number 7 of season 2. How is everybody in the chat? We have lots of people here, so I'm just going to say a quick hello to everybody. We have Katrina, Dino, Ant, going up the list quickly. We've got David, Crazy Antics, Mark, David, Jazz. I said David twice then. But hello, everybody. Welcome back to another great night of chatting. Tonight with me, I've got Arthopod Antics. If you want to go ahead and say hello and introduce yourself, buddy.
Yeah, hi. I'm Tyler. I run Arthopod Antics, the website, the YouTube channel, that good stuff. Excited to be here. Yeah.
Brilliant. We're really excited to have you. We've been watching your videos a lot lately. I did a review on them. I don't know if you saw.
I did.
A couple of weeks back. Yeah, you did see it. Oh, brilliant.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it's great. It's always nice to see just people enjoying not only just the videos that I put out, but just my colonies in general. I originally started my YouTube channel just to sort of show off my collection. I wasn't trying to do anything special with it. Just upload some videos of the ants I have, share them with my friends online and stuff. And so the fact that it's sort of outreaching as much as it is has been really sort of a treat, honestly. And that's where nowadays I'm starting to put a little more effort into those videos so that they're a little more enjoyable to watch for the people that do.
Yeah, well, we enjoy them. Like, your colonies are absolutely insane. So we're going to ask loads of questions about them as well. So yeah. So as always, I've got loads of questions ready for you. So we're just going to dive in. So when did you start keeping ants, and what got you into it?
So I got my first colony May of 2018. I think it was May 22nd. A very special day.
Right. Yeah.
So been about 4 years, a little under 4 years. But I did get into ants earlier than that. I discovered Ants Canada, as many people who got into ant keeping did, back in September of 2017. And then I basically spent that entire winter just researching how to keep ants. Of course, I wasn't perfect when I started, but it was pretty good to where I was able to sort of ease myself into it rather than just finding a queen and being like, oh, how do I keep this? Or, Yeah. So that was a good start for me. And then, so I caught a Camponotus pennsylvanicus colony in May of that year. I was looking for queens and I didn't realize that they hadn't actually flown yet there.
Right.
So I was trying to look for like founding chambers. I was peeling back like bark on some fallen logs, like hoping I'd find like a new queen that had flown. And I actually found a small colony from the previous year. So it was just a queen and her nanitics under this piece of bark. Cool. So I'm like, okay, well, I collected them and I actually still have that colony today. Although I must admit they're not doing super awesome. Just I've kind of had them on the back burner, but they're hibernating right now. So I'm not going to pull them out for you, but they're there.
Yeah, they're there. So what species of ants do you currently own?
A lot. I'll start off my notable ones. Of course, my Atta mexicana. Those are a fan favorite. I've actually got them right there next to me. So we've got the Atta mexicana, of course, and then my current favorite is my Phytoli rhea. They're just an average species of Phytoli. They are, as far as I can tell, the largest Phytoli in the world, and they have super majors. So they have a third worker caste. Been looking out for those for like years. So the fact that I was able to get a queen this last summer was awesome. Then I also have Phytoli obtusospinosa, which is another trimorphic species, but they're much smaller. So I have those. Polyurgus topophy, which is one of our slave raiders. Polyurgus, I'm sure. I have Novomesser, both Coccarelli and Albicetosis. Those are our two Novomesser species. Myrmecocystus mexicanus, a bunch of Camponotus colonies, Lyometopum apiculatum. So those are pretty much the important ones. Dorymyrmex bicolor. So
yeah, wow, okay. So really interesting, amazing colonies, really.
Yeah, I mean, I work hard on my collection, and I mean, I even moved halfway across the country year and a half ago to get new ants pretty much. So, when I started keeping, I lived in a colder part of the country, near like Chicago in Illinois. And, it wasn't all that for ants. You don't get too much. Not only was it sort of an urban area, you don't really get a whole lot in cities, but then also it was cold. So not the best. But then pretty much as soon as I turned 18, I moved to Phoenix, Arizona. And so we've got all sorts of diversity here. And it's just, I mean, my collection has never been the same since then. So.
Brilliant. So what sort of ants can you find in your local area?
My local area isn't amazing just because, again, I live in a city. I do plan on eventually moving somewhere a little bit more like rural so I can have access to better ants just in my backyard. But even then, we do have here, like the big one is Varomesser purgandi. This is one of the spots in Arizona that has them. They're mostly like a West Coast genus, but purgandi is the one that sort of comes out and gets into the more inland deserts. And so we've got those here. I have found Myrmecocystis, some honeypot ants. Nothing like not a, I'm going to sound very privileged saying this, but not a particularly interesting species. None of the really big ones or anything, but they're still honeypot ants. I haven't caught any of them, but I have found them. And then we just have some other, like some small Phaedoli species. We have Solenopsis xyloni, which are our native fire ants. I've kept those before.
Yeah, so, I have seen your videos on them actually.
Yeah, I don't have a colony currently, but I have kept a 2-queen colony in the past. So yeah, we've got those, and then just some other like Forelius. Not too much in the word of interesting species, but I travel a lot around the state, so I get most of my ants from other places around the state.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Do you enjoy making your content? Like, do you actually enjoy it?
Yeah, I do. Of course, and as I sort of mentioned, the YouTube channel was never meant to be like a, something that I was really like a passion project or anything. It sort of started just as something to share my colonies. But then of course the views were going up and the subscriber count was going up, and I'm like, okay, maybe this could actually, be a platform that I can use to have a wider outreach than I originally thought. And so then I started putting more effort into the videos, and really my favorite part is the feedback, getting comments, getting, the, tons of likes and stuff is my favorite part, because it shows that the effort that I put into, keeping my ants or going out and stuff, when I share that and it, has a good reception, then that's just the best part of it all. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. Like, the best part for me is the community that's been built around it. Like, as you can see, they're all there in the chat, and we're all just like such a family, if you know what I mean. It's amazing. Like, that's probably the best thing for me that's come out of my YouTube channel.
Yeah, for sure.
What is the most painful sting that you've ever received?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So I have been fairly lucky to have not been stung by too many species. I'll get stung by like our like I said, Solenopsis xyloni, our native fire ants. But those guys their sting isn't that bad, especially like you think of fire ants as being, really terrible.
Yeah.
But the main thing is Solenopsis invicta have a much worse sting, and they're the most notorious Solenopsis species, and the swarming. So if a lot of times if you're going to get stung by fire ants, you're going to get stung a bunch of times.
A lot, yeah.
But I usually am careful and smart enough to stay away from getting swarmed. So it's usually just a few stings. And other than that, the worst sting that I've felt has been Pseudomyrmex pallidus. They're the little twig ants. And that is actually one species that I failed to mention is in my area. They're not common. I know of like one colony, but I was just observing them, and I was actually trying to like catch the colony because they've got tons of queens too, which is the cool thing. So I was able to get like a 2-queen group of them, and the colony was still fighting out in the wild. And I did end up actually re-releasing those back to the colony, and they just got re-accepted right away, which was cool. because I actually didn't enjoy keeping them all that much. But while I was trying to catch them, I took about 3 stings, and those are bad. Like it was probably about an hour of sensation, and it was pretty bad. It there was one guy who was doing like a thing where he was getting stung by a bunch of ants just to see like the pain. And he said that it was equivalent to being stapled, and I'd say it's probably fairly accurate. Maybe not quite that bad, but it wasn't fun, I'll tell you that much. So learn to leave those guys alone, I'll tell you that much. I have also gotten stung by one Pogonomyrmex. It was a Pogonomyrmex occidentalis nanotic. And their nanitics are tiny. It's actually kind of crazy. They get like 3 millimeter nanitics, but their wild workers are larger than the queens. They get like 8 millimeters in the wild. So like you catch a queen and you raise them up and you're like, is this even the same species? But they do get the larger workers later down the line. So the larger workers are really notorious stingers. The whole genus of Pogonomyrmex is. I got stung by just a little nanotic and it didn't hurt at all. It was like probably just about as bad as a normal fire ant sting. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay. You can brush that off, can't you? Yeah.
So yeah, I was a little bit lucky that when I did get stung by these notoriously bad stingers, it was just a little tiny worker and it didn't hurt that much.
What's your favorite species of ant?
That's a hard question.
Always is.
I think there's just so many. I mean, there's like 14,000 species of ants out there. For a while, I would have told you Polyrhacus ypsilon. It's a like Indonesian, like Borneo species. They're absolutely gorgeous. I still love them. They've got all these golden hairs and big, like their propodial spine is like a fish hook. It's really cool. But maybe I've fallen out of love with them. Maybe I need to actually just go see them in person. I'm not sure what it is, but especially after not only seeing them in the wild so much, but keeping a colony, I love Phytolirrhea so much. They're just the perfect ant. Like out of everything I've kept, they've been my favorite ant to keep. They're pretty painless. They're not annoying to keep. They're not, trying to escape all the time, but they're very interesting. They make these awesome trails. They've got, the big majors. They get big colonies, just everything that you would love in an ant. So I think that'll be my answer right now is Phytolirrhea. But it's subject to change, I'll tell you that much.
It for me, it changes regularly. Like there's several that I absolutely love, but it's basically whatever's taken my interest at that time.
Yeah, that's very accurate.
Is there any species that you really don't like?
So this one isn't probably going to be that controversial, but Strubigenus is a genus that I just can't do. They're just little tiny yellow cryptic ants, and they're like 1 or 2 millimeters, and they get like 20 workers in a colony. I like seeing them in the wild, I'll tell you that much. And especially here in the Western United States, we don't have that many species. I think we've got like maybe 6 here in Arizona. So when you do see them, it's a treat. You're right. You don't see them very often, but I wouldn't keep them. I tried a colony once and never again. On top of that, maybe a more controversial opinion is Ponerinae, the subfamily, is generally not my favorite. I've kept quite a few of them. I just never like them. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them per se, but they're just not my type of ant where they're sort of like, they're more individualistic. Each of the workers is sort of their own, thing where I like ants really work as a team and like get the big colonies and stuff. So just keeping wise, I've never been a huge fan of Ponerines or the other ants that are sort of in that sort of category, like the large workers, solo foragers, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a really good answer, actually. So you've already said you prefer the ones with the larger colonies. Do you prefer bigger ants, medium-sized ants, or small ants?
Generally, I would say sort of medium-sized ants are a good middle ground, because while I do really love keeping large ants, I mean, like Novomessor is one of my favorite genera. I keep both of our native species. So if that's going to tell you that they're a big fan of mine. but they take so much resources and space to keep. When you've got a colony of like 5,000 centimeter long ants, you got to have a big nest and you got to feed them a lot of food. And so that's just a big commitment to have.
Yeah.
On the other hand, small ants are escape artists. That's the big thing with them. I like small ants, but keeping them contained is a whole different story. And so I usually end up just getting frustrated with them after they escape too many times. But generally, medium-sized ants are my go-to.
Yeah, like I quite like Camponotus because like they're not massive, they're still like a fair decent size, but yeah, Mesa barbarus and sort of Camponotus species are like perfect size for me.
Yeah. I think it depends too on the Camponotus species. Here we have some smaller ones to where like I have a colony of Camponotus mina right now, and their largest workers are like a centimeter, and their queens are like around a centimeter.
Wow.
So those are actually a fairly, fun Camponotus. They're not a pain. Like I said, they don't take a lot of space. They're not too big, but other than that, they're everything you like about Camponotus. They're just like most of the other species when it comes to actually keeping them. So those are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd have to agree. I actually just caught some Varromaster queens. They're the species that fly first here. So they're the only ones that fly in the springtime. Yeah. And so I just caught 4 queens. So I'm excited to keep them. I've never kept them before. They're in my area, and I've lived here for like a year and a half or 2 years now, and I've just never caught them. So I'm going to be excited to keep those. I hear lots of good things about Messer, and those are kind of our equivalent. Yeah. So excited about those.
Did you go out to specifically catch them, or did you just like stumble across them whilst you were out?
I did. So I knew that they were I knew that they were flying or had flown. I use iNaturalist a lot for ants. It's a great website. If any of you in chat haven't heard of it, it's amazing. And someone had observed a queen near my area. And so I was like, oh, they're, probably have flown. And then it rained, which is a good trigger for them. A warm day after rain is, of course, that's all ants. But so I decided to go out and see if they had flown, and they had. I found 2 founding chambers only. So it either wasn't a large flight or they had flown earlier than I thought. But I found 2 founding chambers. One had 1 queen and one had 3 queens in it. So I got 4 queens. Not too bad for going out to, drove over to a local park that I knew had them and just decided to see if they had actually flown in my area. And they did. Yeah. So that was good.
I was really lucky then.
Yeah. It definitely was fairly lucky.
Have you got any really interesting stories, like either good or bad, that you want to share with us?
I have some fairly lucky stories. I've gotten pretty darn lucky out in the field before. And I think 2 of my favorite colonies have also some of my favorite stories of how I came across them. And that's my Polyurgus topofi and my Phaedolia. I'll start with the Polyurgus since I got those first. I was checking out, there's a mountain that's not too far away from me, about an hour and a half drive. And I just decided to check it out with a friend. We were like, hey, this area looks cool. The environment is interesting, and we've never been there before. So let's go see what ants are there. And so we went, and I was like, wow, there's a ton of Formica here, because up in our mountains, it's cooler. And so we get a lot of the more temperate species like that. And I'm like, wow, there's a ton of Formica here, like your Fusca group Formica. And I was saying that I was surprised that there was not a lot of like Formica parasites. There was none of like the Formica slave makers or like Rufa group or anything like that. And I was surprised. There's Formica everywhere. So you'd expect there to be some parasites. But we weren't finding any. And then as like we were sort of leaving, we stopped at one last sort of spot, and I flipped a rock, and there was this big Formica colony, and right in the center there was a Polyurgus queen. And I was like, well, there's your Formica parasites, or well, parasites of Formica, I should say. I think we've lost him. Let's see. Well, we're still live, so hi everyone. Not sure what happened to our host. Guess I'll wait for him. So, but yeah, the Polyurgus was a really interesting find, and very nice to find her. And it was an extra benefit too, because she didn't have any host workers at the time. It was just one Polyurus queen in a huge Formica colony. So she already had all of her host workers. I didn't have to do the introduction, and I got the bonus of getting to raise their first biological workers. So that was a fun one. And I love that colony. I still have them. So I'll be right back. The stinking English weather is causing technical issues. I kind of had a feeling. It's actually, we're sort of getting the same here. It is raining right now, which is, it's uncommon. I live in a desert, but it is raining. So I think that, like I said, those Varomesser will probably end up flying again in these coming days. So that'll be fun. Doesn't rain here often, but when it does, it's usually a good thing. Except that it makes it cold. It's let's see, it's 47 degrees Fahrenheit right now, which is not warm. I think that's probably single digits in Celsius, isn't it?
There we go. I apologize
we're
for
back.
that. Sorry, I just had a complete internet shutdown. I don't even know what happened. It just kicked me off.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat here, and it's saying that apparently you had some crazy weather over there in the UK.
Oh, so. Yes. Oh, yeah. And I'm on a tiny little island as well, which, we literally had it shut off. There was no way to leave the island during the storm.
Wow. That's a...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a situation. So
yeah, it wasn't great. So the internet's been a little bit funky around it. We had power cuts and everything. So you were telling a cool story. Did you finish your story?
I did finish it, but if you wanted to hear, I'll go over sort of what happened.
Yeah.
The whole day I was like, where are the Formica parasites? Where are the Formica parasites? We get to the last stop that we were going to stop at. I flip this big flat rock, and there's just the whole underside of the rock is just Formica, and then right in the middle is this bright orange queen. And I knew immediately, I'm like, there's a freaking Polyurus queen. And so I grabbed the queen out, scooped up as many of the workers as I could. And it was a really awesome sort of experience, because that was not only the first time that I had ever kept Polyurus, but I didn't have to do the introduction. She was already in a colony. And she didn't have any biological workers yet. She must have flown the previous fall, because this was in the spring. So she must have flown the previous fall and then hibernated with that colony. And so I got to raise her to her host work, or to her biological workers, and I didn't have to do the introduction. It was so lucky.
Wow.
And then my other lucky story was with my Fatally Rhea. I went to Tucson, Arizona, which is our other main city. It's about 2 hours away from Phoenix, and they've got another mountain that's there. And on the lower, the foothills of that mountain pretty much is where the Fatally Rhea are. It's a big hotspot for them.
Right.
But I was in the city because I wanted to catch Acromyrmex versicolor, which are our smaller leafcutter ants that we've got here. Because it had rained there, and I'm like, okay, well, they'll probably fly in the morning. And so I drove there sort of late at night, and I was in this area looking, and there were some things that were starting to fly, but they ended up getting rained out. It rained again, which was unexpected. And then in the morning, the Acromyrmex, for whatever reason, just didn't fly. And so I was like, dang, I'm not going to leave here empty-handed, am I? I drove 2 hours all the way here. And so I decided just on a whim to go to the mountain, to Mount Lemon is the mountain. And I'm like, I'm just going to check to see if anything flew up there. And I pull into this parking lot that I know has the species that I'm looking for, the Fatally around it. And I pull into a parking spot, and I open my door, and 2 parking spots away, I see a Fatally Rhea queen walking around. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And then I spent the next hour and a half looking there and at another spot on the mountain that had them, and I didn't find any more. It was just the one.
Wow.
And she was right there as soon as I pulled up. I'm like, what are the chances that I park right next to the one queen that's out?
That's pure, that's fate. You had to have that colony. It was something.
It was fate. So, and they're doing great too. I got lucky, and she didn't die on me for no reason. So, because of course that happens with ants. But
yeah. Well, we all know that as ant keepers,
Yeah.
We've all lost a queen or two in our time. So let's talk a little bit about your shop. Do you make your own products?
I do. So I guess I should say I assemble them, you could say. So let me actually grab, I've got a few of them sitting here. So here's one of there we go. This is my flagship nest. It doesn't look anything too special, It's just essentially, it doesn't have a lid on it right now. But it's sort of inspired by like a petri dish nest. And so, of course, I don't make these containers. I buy the containers, and then I basically just make the inner fillings here. I drill the holes. I do all that sort of stuff. And then, of course, I ship them out with a little piece of vinyl tubing as well to fit there. And then with some of the more complex ones, I do a little bit more. Like I said, this is just our flagship. So I have, for example, this is a vertical where it uses the same container, but it's got some vertical space going on. I actually need to clean this one up a little bit. It's got some beauty marks going on. But so this one is like designed for honeypot ants. So you got the space for the repletes to hang, and the nice little, like, I'm reflecting, but nice little overhang at the top there. And so, just our whole line of products I make by hand, pouring the plaster in and sand coating it and everything. So I would say, yes, I do make them. Like I said, of course, there is something that I do buy. I don't have the capabilities to make my own containers, but
maybe one day.
It's possible. Yeah.
You never know where it's going to take you. Which is your favorite product?
Honestly, the one that I use the most myself is the flagship, of course, just our regular, and they're called Formisquariums because it's a square formicarium. I love that. I wish I could say that I came up with that name. But
did you not?
No, I was like showing them off because I was sort of developing them back in May of last year, and I was like, I don't know what to call it. I'm like, it's a square nest. I don't know. I can't come up with anything creative. And then a guy from my Discord server was like, Formisquarium. I'm like, that's perfect. And so I was like, do you mind if I use that? And he was like, no, go ahead.
Awesome.
I need to send him. I'm gonna probably end up sending him some free stuff. I don't know if he's in here, probably not, but I'm gonna probably end up sending him some stuff. Just like, thanks for the name. It's gone far. But this is always my recommendation. It's the one that I use the most. It's the most versatile. But honestly, I think that my favorite is probably the vertical, just because I love this design a lot. It's not as versatile. Like I said, it was mostly designed with honeypots in mind. I do think it's suitable for other large ants. I have a Novomester colony in one right now. So I think that those are probably my favorite. I think they look the nicest. I think that they're just cool. But generally speaking, this is the best. And we do have the XL version of this one too. I don't know where I put it. Oh, it's up here. So it's essentially the same thing, just a lot bigger.
A lot bigger. Yeah, a lot bigger.
XL is not a joke. It's a big nest. And so, of course, that one it's the same formula, just bigger. But yeah.
Brilliant. Have you got any new ones coming out?
Yeah, so I'm not working on any new nests at the moment, but I do have new products. So I have here, I'm working on releasing one soon. Sorry, I've got all of them just like over there.
That's so good.
So this one just released recently, and this is our new XL Outworld. Sorry, nice. Mike is not being awesome there, but so this is our new XL Outworld. It is, again, pretty extra large. And that one is replacing an old XL Outworld. The design it's a little different. So let me actually grab it again. So this one actually has the beveled edges here in the corners. Oh, I see my reflection. So this one has the beveled edges, which makes barriers a lot better to, it just makes them last longer, easier to apply. Corners in general are not good with barriers. And our previous XL Outworld had just harsh, like 90-degree corners. And that was the main flaw with it. But this one, as an added benefit, is about 1.5 times the size. So it's pretty substantially larger. So that's a good one. And then I have another one where I'm just waiting for my materials to come in. But it's sort of a mid ground because I have so this is our regular sized Outworld. It's just a little small for small colonies. And then the big one. And so I'm like, well, I kind of want a mid ground. And so I have these, which are sort of longer and skinnier. Of course, this one is one that I was going to use myself. That's why it has a barrier on it.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of this design, and these ones are going to be launching before the end of the month, as long as my shipment comes in when I expect it to. I wanted to release them both at the same time, but it would have been like a week of having the XL ones ready and not up, and so I'm like, I'm just gonna release them separately. So I've got that new one that is up, and then the medium-sized Outworld coming in a couple days.
Brilliant. That's really cool. What's your shipping like? Do you ship like USA wide, statewide, worldwide?
Yeah, so purchasing through the website is nationwide. So anywhere in the United States, I'll ship to. And that's mostly just because not only cost, international shipping is very expensive.
Yes.
But also, not only is it expensive, but it's hard to calculate. And so when I'm trying to give people an exact quote on shipping when they're ordering, it's going to be difficult with international because I'm not sure if I'm giving them the right quote. And I've messed around with like a shipping calculator, but it's not perfect. And I need to do a little bit more work with that. So we ship flat rate across the whole country. So depending on the size of product that you're getting, it's going to be a flat rate to get it sent to you. And it's 2 to 3 day shipping. So it's pretty quick. And then for international, I will sell internationally is the thing. I would love to sell to, more people, but you just have to contact me directly so that I can get you an accurate quote on how much shipping is going to be. And we can talk about, what's going to be the most worthwhile for you. Cause you don't want to buy one, $14 nest and pay $50 in shipping. So, I have, had a few international customers and we've got on our website, if you scroll to the bottom, there's a big contact bar and shoot us a message if you're interested in buying internationally, that kind of stuff.
I saw that you've changed the size of the syringe as such.
Yeah. So I don't know necessarily that I have changed it because I formerly have just been using like ones myself. Just had some like 5 milliliter little ones with like a little skinny tip. But I decided not only the nests are designed to be hydrated with a syringe, right?
Yes.
And so if all of my customers don't have one, I don't want to make them like have to go out and buy one separately and then have to pay more shipping from wherever they're getting it from. And so I decided to just buy a bunch and stock them for, I only upcharge them slightly. And I decided to get really nice ones too, is the main thing. So they're large capacity and they've got a nice large tip too. So because of the way that my nests is that our hydration chamber is sand and it's used to sort of form the chamber and then distribute the water evenly. And if you've got a very skinny syringe tip, that sand can clog the syringe tip. And so what I did is that I ordered a larger gauge syringe and then I realized that it was actually a little bit too large for for the nests. And I'm like, it worked. Like you could stick it in there, but it was a very snug fit. And so I'm like, I'm just going to, from now on, just use a slightly larger, hole for the hydration. Doesn't really change anything, but I made sure to notify my customers of the change just so that they know. If they're buying a syringe and they have older nests, it might not work as well. But so far I haven't had any issues with it. So
that's the main thing.
Yeah.
So what is your main goal with your website?
Honestly, I just want to get ant keeping to be more affordable is my whole thing. And here I'm not sure what the international, formicarium markets are like, but here in the US, at least until very recently, there have been a couple other companies besides myself that have popped up. But recently we had sort of 3 options, and that was either DIY, which can be difficult if you don't know what you're doing or you need a lot of experience. Like it's easy to say that making your own nest is cheap, but you're going to have a lot of failed runs too and a lot of experimenting. So you're going to waste materials. And if you've got, just a couple colonies, if you're just a casual ant keeper, that's a big time and money commitment. So buying nests is a lot more, favorable for a lot of ant keepers. It was for me for a long time. I know how it is. And so then our only other 2 options were like Etsy and like AliExpress. And those are, I've used them. They're just not that good. I mean, they're cheap. You're spending $5 or $10 on a nest, and you're getting a $5 or $10 nest, pretty much. Like, they're, for especially how big they are, they're just not good. And like, to me, the main important things with a nest are visibility and hydration, and the hydration on those nests is always terrible. It's just you'll kill your ants in them, is pretty much what I'm getting at. And then our other option was Tar Heel ants, which is I have nothing against Tar Heel ants. I have purchased dozens of his products, but they're expensive. Like, his flagship, like, cheap nest is $37 or something. And so if you're like a teenager, a younger kid that's getting into keeping ants, like, that's kind of a lot of money to spend. And so I was like, it's not fair for US ant keepers to have the option of either spending money on garbage and getting garbage, and your ant keeping experience is going to be poor, or getting a very high quality nest but breaking the bank for it. It's just, it didn't make any sense to me that there wasn't a middle ground option. And so with me, like, they're not designed to be pretty, right? This isn't like an attractive nest, but it's functional, and it's not that expensive. And that is my whole goal, is to just get nests where people are going to have a good ant keeping experience without breaking the bank. That's and brilliant. So I think that I've been doing that fairly well. And of course, as I said, the two most important things are hydration and visibility. And mine have the advantage of pretty good visibility because there's no chambers to obstruct your view. It's just a nice, pure open thing.
Yeah.
And so overall, I mean, I've personally used my nests for months now. I love using them myself, and I've had great feedback from my customers. And so I'm just happy with that. Sort of my goal of being a viable, inexpensive option is working.
No, I think you've done really well with that. Everything I've seen on your website seems sort of, like you say, middle ground is perfect, really. I like that side of the market, because that's, to be honest, that's where I started out, was the cheaper stuff. I couldn't go out and get the big expensive stuff. So like that really calls out to me as some amazing products.
Yeah, well, thank you.
And I've seen quite a few people in the chat saying that they've actually got a few of your products already, and they used them and they work really well. Ant says absolutely love those nests. And, Roger got this one, So that's brilliant. So let's move on from your website and talk a little bit more about your ants. Absolutely. Have you got many species still in diapause? Are they still hibernating?
I've taken most out at this point. I already mentioned that my original Camponotus pennsylvanicus, they're still in diapause. I think they come out in a month or so. But then most of my colonies that did diapause, which isn't a lot because I do live in a warm climate, so most of the species I keep don't need it at all. But as I've said, I do go up into the mountains and I do catch some of the more temperate species. So I do have some that diapause, but I've taken most of those out at this point. The most recent and the last, besides my Campo pennsylvanicus, was another Camponotus semitastaceus. They're a nice, large, like orangish Camponotus that we have. And actually, my most recent video is about just those guys coming out of hibernation and doing their thing.
Yeah, so I did watch that one, actually.
So yeah, that was almost my last colony that I needed to take out of hibernation. Just got one more.
Okay, most of my colonies are just about coming out now, so it's starting to liven up, which is actually quite early for around here, but they've decided to wake up, so I'm not going to stop them.
Yeah. The ants do what the ants want to do.
That's exactly it. So your colonies are absolutely massive and really impressive. Have you got any advice on how to grow colonies to that size?
Food and heat. That's for the vast majority of ants. Keeping them warm and just making sure that they have as much food as they can intake will result in them growing faster. That's just the fact of it. When they're heated, they metabolize faster. The brood will develop quicker. And when they have food, especially with some of my species, Nova Messer is a big example. Whenever people are like, how did you grow those so fast? Because they're big ants. Like, those workers are probably at least a centimeter. And I got my albicetosis colony to 5,000 workers in like 7 months or something.
Wow.
And I've told people, especially with that species. If those larvae are not always chewing on something, they need to be. If those larvae are not eating, you need to feed your colony if you want them to grow light speed like that. Now, of course, I'm satisfied with that size. I think that they can get a little bigger, but as I said before, large ants take just too much food and space.
Yes.
So I'm happy with keeping them at just a couple thousand workers. So I'm sort of breaking my own advice now with the larvae eating thing, but and of course not all species I should say are going to be like that, where they like the larvae actually eat. Like that's one of my favorite things about Novomesser is that the larvae like move around and eat them. But of course it just generally that advice applies to almost anything is heat and food.
Yeah, brilliant. Do you like to do your own naturalistic and bioactive builds?
Not too much. I've dabbled into vivariums before, a dirt setup that's planted and everything. To me, though, and I know I said this, I like to see my ants. I love the visibility. And so if I am putting my ants in a dirt setup, whether it's a naturalistic one or not, I'm not able to see in the nest. And, while I might be able to enjoy their foraging and stuff, a lot of times I can just go outside if I want to see ants, foraging in nature or naturalistic, environments. Now, the one way that I've sort of gotten around that, and that's sort of because, especially like I live in a desert, it's dry outside. And so I'm able to create naturalistic environments without the ants needing to nest there. And so with my Fidolia colony, they get like 6 digits of workers, like huge colonies. Now mine is only at like 5,000-ish right now, but I knew that I was going to need a ton of space for them. And so I picked up a very large aquarium. It's 55 gallons. I'm not sure what that is in liters, but it's over a meter long. It's like 1.2 meters long. So it's a huge tank. And I essentially did like an artificial landscape inside of it to where I made it looks like a cliff because the species nests on cliffs, but so I can see them foraging in a naturalistic environment, but then I just have a hole drilled into an artificial nest on the side, right? Because it looks fine when it's dry. I don't need to worry about hydrating it, and then because of that, they're not going to nest there, and then I can just keep them in a normal nest and I get the best of both worlds. And so I think I'm probably going to end up doing that more with some of my other colonies. I doubt that that's going to be the last colony that I have in sort of a naturalistic outworld, but a normal nest. So it's pretty cool.
That's actually one thing I'm trying is I've got a colony of acorn ants currently living in a bioactive outworld. But I've made sure it's like really super shallow substrate and whatnot. Done the best I can, and I'm going to attach the artificial nest full of Camponotus to it and let them live together. But they should be okay. I've taken a lot of advice, and they should basically ignore each other because of the size difference.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Because I did have, especially back when I lived in Illinois in a more temperate and wet environment, I did have a like standard quote unquote vivarium where I had, moist soil and plants and all that stuff. And I had Temnothorax and Camponotus, and they didn't fight.
There you go.
The size difference is the main thing. Like they barely even notice each other. So I think that'll work. I do.
Brilliant. Well, it's nice to know that you think it's going to work, and you basically That's good. What YouTubers do you watch?
That's a good question. I actually don't watch too many ant videos on YouTube. I'm not sure why it is, honestly, but I do get around. Like, I don't follow too many individual people, but I will look for videos of like cool colonies, especially because, like I said, that's sort of what I made my YouTube for. Is if people are like wanting to see videos of like unique or interesting ants, I want them to be out there. I keep them. Why not just, upload footage of them?
Show it.
And so, of course, I've gotten around and found a ton of like just cool videos, of people keeping just interesting species. And like I used to follow Ants Australia, but then he kind of stopped uploading. I think that's a pretty common story. In ant keeping. And then I watched like some of my friends, like Armin just commented in the chat, me, and yes, I do watch his videos. That's true. I watch Ant. And so I do get around, but I'd struggle to tell you like a favorite ant keeping YouTuber.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair. Do you have any other pets? Any other inverts?
I do, and I am excited to talk about this. I was sort of hoping that you would ask. I'm recently getting into centipedes, like the big freaking centipedes.
Yeah, wow.
And so I might actually be able to show you because she's out right now. But I picked up just at like totally on a whim at an expo a Scolopendra dahani, which are the Vietnamese giant centipede. She's like 6 inches. And so I'm actually going to grab her. I'm not going to grab her. That'd be a terrible idea.
No, don't do that. My God.
I've just got her thing right here. Let me just actually move the camera. That'll probably be a little easier. It's the nice thing about these detachable webcams.
Yeah.
So there's her.
Wow.
If you can see her, the lighting is not very good. But
yeah, I can see.
Yeah, so she's really cool. And I'm actually getting... Sorry, I'm going to have to put this back.
It's so good.
But I have another setup ready for a Florida Keys giant centipede, which is Scolopendra alternans. I got that one shipped out to me yesterday. So I'm really excited for that one. It's a juvenile, so it's not going to be like too large. But I've been really into them. And then I also, of course, want to catch Scolopendra heros, which is our like giant desert centipede. It's probably my dream species. And I found one before, but it was, first of all, it was a baby, like maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches. And it had mycosis, which is a fungal infection. And it died like a week after I got it, which was really, really disappointing. But it's starting to warm up here. So I think probably next month or so is going to be the time when I'm going to be able to find more of them.
Yeah.
So those are most of what I keep now. I've dabbled with like praying mantises and jumping spiders before, but my main issue with those, I love them, but they just don't live long enough. They only live like a year or two, where the giant centipedes live like 5 to 10 years. So that's much more, like, I don't know. It's just more appealing to me. I'd rather have something that I can actually enjoy for a long amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you looking forward to being stung or bitten by your centipede?
God, no. I'm fairly lucky in that I've never gotten bit. And I have such an awful story. I have a story about this, but
go on.
Of course, I wouldn't have bought her if I knew this. But Scolopendra dahani have like some of the worst venom of any centipede. They are awful. It's like 24 to 46 hours of worse than broken bone levels of pain if you get bit. Not excited. That's why I did not handle her. I try to just stay as like enjoy from a distance. But I have not gotten bit, and we actually do have like Scolopendra polymorpha here, which are very common, and their bite is only about as bad as a bee sting, and I still haven't gotten bit by them. So I guess that's a good sign. If I'm able to avoid, them. And then of course our big ones, like I'm going to try to handle, because I handle the polymorphas too. And that's sort of why because I can take a bee sting. I mean, that's not too bad. But like even our Scolopendra heros, which is our, giant one, are not nearly as bad. So I think that they're probably only about as bad as like a Pogonomyrmex sting. So I'm probably gonna end up trying to handle those too, but not my dahani. And that's why I said if I would have known what species it was when I was buying it, because the guys at the expo didn't even know they told me it was a Vietnamese, but I'm like, I don't speak common names. I don't do common names. But they were like, oh yeah, it's $30, and I'm like, well, say less.
Why not?
$30. That's for a giant centipede. Why not? So I might not have taken that deal if I knew how bad it was, but
Have you tried tongue feeding her yet?
Yes, I have, and I am a little dumb for it because my tongs that I have are tiny. Like, this is it.
Oh, I
could so easily get bit. So I'm going to invest in a longer pair of tongs.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely going to invest in a longer pair of forceps at some point.
So what is your favorite invert overall, like of anything?
Just like generally speaking, it's easily ants. I mean, there's nothing. They've got everything I want. You know, they've got like the longer lifespan for when I'm keeping them, and you know, I get to enjoy them for a long time. They're so dynamic. They're constantly changing. You know, you're never gonna have 2 days that are the same with ants. You know, with their growing all the time and just different feeding responses. And of course, just watching them, they're always doing something. That's one thing. Like those giant centipedes are freaking cool, but they can be pet dirt sometimes too. Like sometimes they just go under their hide and don't come out for a couple days. So as much as I love them and I'm getting into them, it's always going to be ants. I think there's nothing more.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Do you have any other hobbies?
Yeah, kind of. I've sort of taken time off from them. I used to roller skate a whole lot. I grew up roller skating.
Okay, yeah.
But after I moved to Arizona, like we don't have any like rinks around here because I would go to like a rink, not just outside. We don't really have any around here, and like the couple that do like just aren't that good. So I've kind of stopped doing that since I moved here. But again, I don't need to because like that was something that I did in Illinois to like, especially in the winter to kill time when I couldn't go outside. Yeah. But it's nice here like almost all the time. So I can go outside whenever I want and look for ants. So I have sort of been dropping some of my other hobbies. I mean, I've gotten into like PCs. I you know, got a nice desktop and I've been interested in that kind of stuff, but nothing too, you know, severe.
Too out there yet.
Yeah. At least
there's always a there's always the
There's always subject to change.
Yeah, that's it. What are people's general reactions when you tell them about your ants?
It's very, you know, mixed. It definitely depends on the type of person they are and I guess how open they are to new ideas, because a lot of people, aside from like the Uncle Milton ant farm, haven't really heard of you know, keeping ants or keeping ant colonies. Now that is changing slowly, and I'm not going to get into my opinions on it, but there are like ant TikTokers that have like millions of followers.
Yes, there are. Yes.
And so as much, however I feel about them, let's say that they are getting ant keeping out there, and that's why I still more or less support what Ants Canada is doing.
Yes.
I don't watch his content anymore. I don't like the direction that his content has taken. But he's getting ant keeping out there. I mean, everyone is getting into ant keeping because of these large channels. And so it's more frequent now that people are more open to the idea than when I started 4 years ago. Yeah. I was very secretive about it 4 years ago. I was, you know, I wouldn't talk to anyone about it. But now I'm like, yeah, sure. I have ants as pets. You want to see them?
Yeah.
Like I've got pictures. I've got videos. Check it out. You know. So I'm a little bit more open about it in general, and then also it's sort of more readily accepted. So I think it's becoming more positive in general to be an ant keeper.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I mean, pretty much everyone I speak to in interviews, about 90% of them will say that they got into it through Ants Canada. And even speaking to the general public, if you say about ant keeping, some of them will say, actually, I've watched this guy. I can't remember it's Ants Canada. And it's always Ants Canada, or like you say, these ant TikTokers now, which also have millions of views and all of that. But I don't understand TikTok. It goes straight over my head.
Yeah, I use the platform. It's not my type of creating though. I like to make the YouTube videos where I can not only I've got a longer time where I can go a little more into depth if I want to actually explain stuff, but then I don't know, I just like the format more.
Yeah, because TikTok's only like 30 seconds or something, isn't it?
It's a minute at the most. And even then, like, you've got to really capture someone's interest in the first 5 seconds or else they're going to scroll off. So you have to be like way too over exaggerating about everything. And, you know, I don't know. It's not for me. And that's part of like what I don't like about the big ant creators is that they over exaggerate everything.
Yes.
It's like ant keeping isn't all that. Like, it's interesting, but it's not like, you know, it's not that dramatic.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But it is what it is, you know. It's better for the
Yeah.
community as a whole, so I guess we're stuck with it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Now, I've got some questions from the community, and if anyone else has some questions, please do send them in now. So we're just going to start with one from Katrina. Have you had any experience with Ectomyrmex astrua?
So I have sort of been looking at chat, and I saw that, and I pulled them up, and I haven't ever kept them. I'm not actually sure where they're native to. Let me look really quick. Looks like Southeast Asian. So I haven't kept. And especially the main thing here is it is illegal to import ants in the US. You can't do it. I used to do it. I will tell you that much, but not anymore. I've gotten over that, especially with moving to somewhere that has such crazy diversity. Yes. I'm more than satisfied with the ants that I have, available to me legally, that I don't need to worry about importing anything else. That said, I have kept probably the closest thing to that just by looking at them. Odontoponera transversa. I have kept a colony of those.
Yeah.
And again, they just not my favorite ants. I don't like the large, solo foragers, not huge colonies, not fast growth. Like I can deal with the not huge colonies and the not fast growth, but I still like, they're just not my behaviorally interesting. They're not behaviorally interesting to me. That's what I'll say. Maybe those are different, but I kind of doubt it.
That's fair. We've got one from Roger as well. Which is your favorite? I'll say ant, but it's which is your favorite ant if you had a chance to keep it?
So I mean, I've talked about them plenty, but my Phaedolerea have been my dream species for years. Like that I could reasonably acquire, of course, not like some crazy like South American species. That's impossible to get. So those had been my dream species for a while, and honestly, they're everything that I wanted out of them. I talked about them before. But I will mention Atacephalotes. I like my Atta mexicana a lot, but Atacephalotes they're my favorite Atta species. I mean, I love the like orange colored workers, and the majors are huge. So if I had a chance, probably Atacephalotes. I think that is a species that I would love to keep. Unfortunately, not really possible, like I said, the way that the laws are, but a man can dream, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. If someone really cool, like an ant keeper, comes into presidency, he might just be like, you know what, guys, just go mad, go nuts with it, and it'll be amazing.
That would certainly be something.
If the president, who's it? Biden. We need to show Biden Ants Canada.
Yeah, right. We need to I need to have a sit-down interview with Joe Biden. Tell him about ant keeping and make him fix the regulations.
Yeah. I think that would solve all the world's issues right now. Just get ant keeping going.
Right.
So your Atta are absolutely amazing. Can we have a look at them? Are they viewable at the moment?
Well, yeah. So I've got them. I'll take a little flashlight. So they just live right next to me.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't see it at all with the window, but
wow.
Here they are, more or less. Right now they're eating oats because it's raining outside and I can't get like fresh leaves for them. So they will take oats. There's the pile of it in the corner there. So they will take those if need be.
I didn't know they would have those.
Yeah. So I've got them eating it right now. That said, those those are the only 2 chambers now. I had like 8 chambers for them, like fungus chambers, and I ended up sort of accidentally, sort of on purposely culling a bunch of the colony. At their peak, they were at like 150,000 workers, and they were like they were escaping pretty much every day.
Everywhere,
like they were constantly on the barriers, chewing out of tubing, and I'm like, I just can't deal with this anymore. I had my fun with them, but it was too much work and too annoying to contain them. And especially with me going out on anting trips all the time, like sometimes for multiple days, I'll go camping and stuff. I can't have them escaping while I'm not home. Like it's not possible. And so what I did is I was just going to start reducing their feeding, just so having them intake less plants, eventually the fungus will shrink and they'll get to a manageable size, right? What I didn't consider is that at this size, or at least at the size that they were, all of the water that they intake, whether it's for their chambers or just for drinking, comes from the leaves. When they cut open the leaves, the moisture in the leaves is released into the chambers. And so that's all they needed. But when I cut the feeding in like a fifth, right, I'm feeding them way less. That also means that I'm cutting the amount of water that they're getting down that much. And so the other chambers, besides these main two, were not designed to hold water as long just because they didn't need it. They were constantly intaking food. It also means that they didn't hold water as long. And so when I reduced the amount of water that they were intaking, those chambers completely dried out and all the fungus died in them. And then I realized, oops, and I had almost actually gotten to a point of no return with the main chambers too, which would have been really bad. Thankfully, I didn't. So they're perfectly fine now in their 2 chambers. They've got probably 20,000 workers and they're much more manageable. So like I said, it got the desired result. Just the way that it happened was a little bit scary. So
so I had a question there that I just come out with. When did you get them? How long have you had that colony?
So I got them in summer of 2020. Pretty much right after I moved to Arizona. I was lucky enough to stumble across a couple. Their flights are very difficult to catch and to predict. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I actually did get 2 queens, but one of them died on me. So just have the one.
Yeah. Okay. They're not polygamous normally, are they?
No, there is polygyny in ADA is a little bit weird because there is some signs that some of the South American ones could be polygynous, but that's a lot of uncertain words. So as far as we know, the only one that's confirmed to be like polygynous all the time is ADA texana, which is the US's other species in Texas. The main downside with those is that they're also the smallest ADA species. So like multiple queens, but like small workers. So they're not my favorite, especially just because like one ADA queen can support millions of workers on her own. You don't need multiple. It's not necessary. So that's my opinions on ADA texana. But I am perfectly fine with having a 1 queen colony because, as I said, she can already make way more workers than I could ever keep. So fine by me.
No, I think that's quite sensible actually, because like you say, if it's not manageable, you need to find a way to sort that out. It's something I've come across quite a lot recently is people, a lot of Solenopsis invicta and stuff like that have been bought in the UK, and people have gone out and been like, oh, I'm going to have fire ants and ants Canada and fire ants and all of that. And now they're like, these things are just escaping everywhere. What do I do? And it gets too much.
Well, and the main issue with that is that it's always the least experienced keepers that get their hands on them too.
So everyone goes for the fire ants. It's oh no.
Yeah. So I tend to not recommend those to people that are just getting into the hobby, but they learn one way or another. It just depends on if they want to listen or if they want to find out.
I mean, I nearly did at one point, and then I was like, no, I'm not that silly. Like, I've got like 35 colonies at the moment, so I don't need any I don't need any mad kind of stuff going on.
I've kept Invicta before, but despite what I've been saying about big colony grow fast, I can't do Invicta. They're not only are they just too small, but the stinging and they're hard to manage, and they're not that interesting to me. So
they're just too constant. I find they're not like you can enjoy a natural behavior because they overwhelm everything. If you know what I mean, like no matter what size outworld you give them, it's never big enough, and they're just climbing up the sides, and it doesn't look natural.
Absolutely.
That's my kind of thing with them. But that is actually all of my questions. So if anyone else has any last questions, make sure you chuck them out now. And if not, have you got anything else that you want to say to us, Tyler? Like anything you want to get out to the community?
Not really, honestly. I this went awesome. I mean, thank you for having me. Of course, this was I think very constructive, and I love getting just my opinions on things out there and sort of my philosophy, explaining what it is that I do with ant keeping and some of my adventures with some stuff. It's always fun just sharing that. That's what I just love to share my info. I mean, I've started communities where I'm just giving out information that I know. Like I've got a Discord server for Arizona ant keepers.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, you know, I always love telling people, you know, where I'm finding cool ants, when things are flying. It's my, I like to help the ant keeping community. That's like my thing, is that I don't want, and you know, I think everyone should be able to have a good experience with keeping ants. And again, that's part of my philosophy with my business, is that I just want people to be able to have a good experience with ant keeping, because it's done so much for me. It's such a great, you know, interest, and I just want everyone to enjoy it. So
no, I'm completely the same. That's pretty much why I'm in it. I just like to help everybody and do as much as I can for the community. That's what I do, you know.
Yeah, well, and of course, I mean, you're here bringing people like me on and getting all these different opinions and everything. It's so good for everyone. I mean, I love what you're doing here. I'm definitely gonna have to go through and watch some of your other interviews and stuff. I didn't have too much time to go through them, but I absolutely
there's a lot now.
Well, I noticed that there's like, we're on season 2 already. Is that what I
know? Season 2 already. Smashing through it.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to be browsing some of those older ones.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But honestly, it's been really awesome having you on. Like, you've been so knowledgeable and open to talk about everything. It's been really awesome, and you're like really enjoyable. Thank you for coming on. Like, I can't thank you enough.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, I'm gonna let you go now, buddy, unless you want to hang about and like whatever. Like, I kind of do, like, we do duck races and other random stuff after.
All right. Well, I think that I will go ahead and take my leave. But again, great to be on here, and thanks everyone who watched. Hope to see some of you again, maybe. And yeah.
I'm sure everyone will sub to the channel. Thank you very much to him for coming on, Tyler. That was absolutely amazing. And hello, everyone. You're back to just me for now. Just me in the hat. There we go. Jazz is on number 5 already. We will have a duck race in a minute. That is a promise. So I had a really interesting day. For anyone that doesn't know, we'll have a duck race in a minute. Right? For anyone that doesn't know, I was at work working my butt off as normal today. But it turned out to be an interesting day because I had a lunch break. And hang on, not that one. I had a lunch break and I went for a little wander. And I filmed this. It was just a little wander when it comes up. No, not that one. Not that one. That's my crabs. I'm going to show you my crabs in a minute as well. Hang on. This one. So, this one. I went and had a look under some logs and stuff just to see if like things are coming out of hibernation, starting to move about a bit more, you know, because it's starting to warm up. And they were. There was a few isopods, a couple of millipedes that I saw, which is pretty cool. Big old slug in there. So that was pretty cool. One thing I always say, like, I'll show you in a minute, there's worms and all sorts, but one thing I always say is if you're going to be moving logs out in the woods or whatever, make sure you put the logs back in the same place that you took them from, because it, like, you don't want to disturb the habitat or anything. It's okay to have a little look, but make sure you put everything back exactly the way it was before leaving. I thought this was pretty cool. It was like a stump, right? But it's starting to grow again. There's like little shoots coming out of it, like 2 or 3 little shoots. I thought that was really cool. You know, nature always finds a way, you know. I thought that was brilliant. I had lots of fun on my lunch break. Can you tell? And then this tree, someone's carved into it, but there was like this little water reservoir in the bottom of the tree, and I thought it was like just really cool. And like looking into it, you could see all sorts of different things in there. Like there were spiders and all sorts of things. Like it's hard to actually see, but like there was little things crawling around in the water and all sorts. I thought it was really super cool the way it's made that like natural kind of bowl for them. It's holding all that rainwater. But yeah, so that's what I got up to on my lunch break. I thought I'd film it for you. Why not? But what else have we got going on? Should we have a duck race then? Right, we've got 9 people in the chat currently, so I shall set up a duck race. I'm not putting a prize up for it at the moment. But we will get the ducks quacking, we could say. So how many people? We've got 9 people in chat, so we're having 9 ducks. Call out your numbers. Jazz, I guess you're number 5. I can't even see the chat right now, but I know you're going to be number 5. Dino's number 6. Move over a bit. The chat's in my face. That way. How's that? I could probably go over a bit. I don't know. It'd be fine. You don't need to see my ugly mug. My beautiful face. You know, one time, right? So one time I got called beautiful. And I was like, nah. You thought I was going to come out with like a really interesting story then, didn't you? Nope. Right, so who is ready for this duck race? Let's get the race going in 3, 2, 1, and go. God, that was loud, right in my ears. Ooh. Ugh, ducks. Might have to turn that down. God. And who have we got? We got Katrina at 7, Mark at 3, Jazz at 5, Dino at 6. There is other people in the chat. If you haven't called out a number, get it now. So we've got number 3 is the plain duck. Number 7 is a plain duck. Number 5 is the green duck. And number 6 is the purple duck. I'm going to have brown bear duck at number 2. Just because no one else is calling it out. Would you say that's a brown bear duck? A bear duck? A duck bear? Duck bear duck? Duckity duck? Duck? I'm so confused. Like Roger is number 4. I really actually enjoyed that interview. I was really enjoying Tyler. He's got a lot of knowledge about ants, hasn't he? And thank you. I'm going to say this wrong. Estevan. Thank you for your comment. I can't pronounce your name. My reading's bad. My pronunciation's bad. But thank you very much for your comment. That means a lot. But yeah, Tyler was amazing, wasn't he? Let's be honest. That was like such a great interview. So much knowledge to impart on us. And some really interesting stories as well. Oh, who've we got? 1 and 2. Go on, brown bear. Go, brown bear. Go, brown bear duck. Bear. I'm going to call him brown bear duck. We'll probably never see him again. All right, everyone. And number 9 took it. Well done to number 9. Nobody took number 9, but well done, that duck. You put your heart and soul into that race. You deserve to win. Well done. So last time I did a triathlon, quite a while ago, actually. I struggle with the swimming. Swimming always gets me. I get to the end of the thing. I got to catch my breath. I struggle with the swimming, right? But the rest of it's usually not too bad. So I did my, like, I think it was like 12 laps of the pool or something, got out, went to run to my bike, and I was like, where's my shoes? And I looked around and I couldn't find my shoes absolutely anywhere. Now, I know I put my shoes in the box next to my bike so I can start my cycle. Couldn't find them anywhere. I got on the bike anyways and did the whole cycle thing. Right. Got halfway up the hill. Now, anyone that knows my island, it's just a big hill. I got halfway up it and I got a puncture. Right. So I've got no shoes and I've got a puncture. I managed to get it all the way to the lighthouse, and the marshals basically said, you've got to walk that. You're going to have to get off your bike. Right. So I started carrying it and started jogging back to where we were doing the changeovers, basically. Luckily, someone else came up with an inner tube and was like, there you go. Why haven't you even got shoes on? I was like, I don't know what's going on. It was like the worst triathlon experience I've ever had. So I get back to the changeover, like with the new inner tube, and my shoes are literally right there. I was dreading it because after the cycling, you have to do the running, and that's like run the beach road and back. And like, you don't want to do that with no shoes. So luckily they were there at that changeover. I got into it, got my run done, and I finished, but my God, that was a hard one. No shoes and a puncture. It's like literally the worst triathlon experience I've ever had, probably ever will have. I'm probably not going to do many more triathlons. Roger, thanks for asking about my daughter's ants. Her Lacey's Niger are absolutely kicking butt. Every time I touch the outworld, I can see like between 50 to 100 ants just running about in the outworld. But that is where they get their water from, you know. So there's always loads of ants in the water. It's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, doing really well. And her Mesobarbara, she's got quite a lot of eggs and whatnot in her test tube, and she's just left it be like she should do. She's doing really, really well. I'm so proud of Amy because she learns. She wants to learn. She listens to everything I tell her, and yeah, she's learning really well. You know, if I ever need to pass it on to somebody, there's my Amy. Now, who wants to see my crabs? Not like that, you dirty people. Stop it. Right. I did film because they've been out like, so the ones that were babies are now a lot bigger. They're pretty much the same size as the adults, like that fast. But we've got other little babies in the crab area, in the pond. Why did I call it a crab area? It's called a pond. That's just me being completely, I don't know. I had about an hour's sleep last night. I've been non-stop since 6 o'clock this morning. So whatever, we'll just go with the flow. Who wants to see my crabs? Not like that. Stop it. Here we go. Let's have a little look. So I thought it was really cool. Like, why not? It's nice to actually see them actively out and about. This is one of the newest, not the newest ones, but this is like the other batch of babies. That was a baby literally a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago. That was that little baby. But they've molted several times really fast. I'm guessing because they're having such a high protein diet, high nutrient diet, that they're getting everything they need. But watch this. So he's sat in front of the cave, which goes in. Now, I know that cave is currently occupied by another crab. So I just decided to wait and see what happens. You can kind of just see the other crab sneaking up behind him. Give him a minute. But yeah, that is the first of the babies. They've grown so fast. They're almost at full like adult size already. There you go. There's one of the other ones. Now, they didn't have any more of a fight or scuffle or anything. It was just like, get out of my cave hole. I haven't seen the doctor about my crabs, but the doctors watch my YouTube channel quite often because I'm good friends with them. They go to my gym and everything. I've had the same doctor for like 14 years, 16 years, something like that. So, yeah, I know the doctors can't help. They watch and they can't offer me any advice when it comes to my crabs. They don't know what to do. But I thought it was really cool. Like they're just kind of having that staring off, like eyeing each other up across the room. Going to have you, sunshot, but they're not. They pretty much just avoid each other. That other one went back into his hidey hole, and that was that. But I do love them. Like they're so cool and interesting to watch, especially when they're roaming around the pond, eating all the leftover decaying stuff and duckweed and all of that lot. I think they're super cute as well with their red claws. In fact, I sent a picture into something. It might be getting featured in a article, basically, a scientific article on vampire crabs. So that's really super exciting. One of my vampire crabs might be in a magazine sort of thing. Yeah, you know what I mean. I should take my crabs to see the doctor. I don't think the doctor's surgery would allow it. Like, they don't even allow you in 5 minutes before your appointment anymore, let alone bringing guests. Yeah, brilliant. So that's my crabs. I thought I'd film it for you. I thought you'd enjoy that, you know, little 2-minute snippet about my crab issues. Oh dear. Dear, oh dear. Well, I'm not going to be doing any big announcements or anything tonight, but if you've got anything you want me to talk about, give me a little comment, let me know. Make sure you've liked this video. Subscribe to Tyler's channel, Arthopod Antics. Check out his shop if you're in the USA, because he ships all over the USA. And yeah, it was really enjoyable. I don't know what else to say. So give me a topic to talk about. I could show you one thing. Actually, no, I'm not even going to show you that. You don't deserve, no, I'm not showing you. Like, you kind of do deserve to know, but I'm not showing you what I just done. Basically, today has just been a long day. That's all you're getting. But yeah, I'm getting some new ant colonies on the channel very soon. What's the best way to raise Lasius non-intrusive way? What type of Lasius are you on about, Katrina? There's quite a few, but generally they're really easy. Which colony do you want to keep? Have you kept Lasius yet? Have you got any ants yet? I'm sure you've got ants. You could do Lasius. Oh, I'm sorry, everyone. That is what you get if you don't sleep and you work too hard and you don't sleep. Oh, I am going to say a massive thank you to Jazz whilst we're all here as well. Jazz has been working really hard on some artwork, which is going to be on the banners of the exhibition. So a massive thank you to Jazz from myself, and I'm sure the whole community is going to enjoy the artwork as well. It is up on Discord. I think I posted it in the ant pictures or something like that this morning because it was super cool and I was super excited, as I always am when I get things like that, you know. Posters will be out soon, but I'm not going to go into massive details about it tonight, but it's all coming on to the website, and obviously you can get your tickets whenever. Clueless Nigel probably got a founding colony. I'm used to exotic species. Only awake. Yeah, only awake is one out there. That's fair enough. Thank you. Well, if you've got Nigels are really easy, basically. You don't need any extra heat. You don't need any kind of extra requirements or anything. Nigels are literally the easiest species of UK ants, or I'd say so anyways. Yeah, I mean, my Nigers have been really simple, and the thing I found with them is the less you do at the start, the faster they're going to grow. Right? And I know that sounds stupid. We all know that. But even like feeding wise, like I would feed my colonies protein once a week and carbohydrates once a week, with a gap in between. Now, Amy would feed her colony like protein once a fortnight and carbohydrates once a fortnight. And hers have done like 10 times better than mine. So I'm putting it down to that, because that was pretty much the only difference, apart from there's also, we're in that other outworld which simulates a constant dark like situation. Even when they're in the outworld, it's still constantly dark. Whereas mine would have had to be foraging in the light. So that might have made a difference as well. But that apart from that, like, they're so easy to keep. You just put them in a box, little Chinese box with a little bit of sand or something to stop the test tube running around. They'd be more than happy in there for the first 6 months, probably a year, maybe even a year and a half, depending on rate of growth, obviously. Yeah, so like I feed mine every 3 days at the moment, but most of my Lasius niger colonies are still fairly small. But to be honest, I try and keep all of my colonies on a 3-day regime, but that's like I'll do protein, then carbs, and then protein again. Like, yeah, it's confusing. The larger colonies will get protein twice a week. The smaller ones will get protein once a week, but there's always 3 days between feeding cycles. I've got a graph, basically. Just follow the graph. I know where I am if I follow my graph and charts. I write everything down. You know me. I write everything down. I'm very logistical and statistical and whatever. Everything gets written down into lists and graphs. But I will say, like, power feeding your colonies in the founding stage is not necessarily a good idea. If you're feeding them every day protein, everyday carbohydrates, they just haven't got enough room within the whole colony's biomass of social stomachs to process it all. So you need to kind of give them that space, if you know what I mean. Roger, have I got any new ants? I do have. How many? I have 3 new colonies that I'm going to introduce to the channel very soon, within the next couple of weeks. I'm going to introduce them, but they're just not ready yet. They're not there yet. I've had them up my sleeves for a while now, but they're just not ready yet, you know. So they will be coming to the channel soon. I've got some other stuff that I'm working on behind the scenes, as always. Some other new additions to the channel. In fact, I've been really bad with my uploads lately. I will admit that. Like, my review videos, I've got like 10 of them. I just haven't uploaded anything. And I've got so much footage and videos that I am working on. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of videos, put it that way, and a lot more like shorts and things like that, like in the middle of the week, just because I've got extra footage that I'm just dying to get out there. I just haven't had the time between everything else that I'm doing to really edit into a good video. But there is some really good ones in the works at the moment, with some new additions and stuff like that. Yeah, I think, Katrina, you'll be completely fine with that then. That seems like more than they need. I always say waxworms as well, they're brilliant. They are very high in fat content in comparison to, say, a dubia roach. But waxworms, they're so clean to keep. They're easy to kill, let's be honest, very easy. And they're just they're easy to manage. I much prefer waxworms to, say, mealworms, Mario worms, dubia roaches, crickets, or anything. Waxworms are my go-to sort of food for my ants. It's just the way it is. And I find most things will eat a waxworm as well. My scorpion will eat waxworms, and even the isopods like waxworms. So bit of advertising there. Lemonade, give me some money. Boosh, yeah. No, that won't happen, will it? But I think if you do a stream and you've always got a Coke can there, then you might, I don't know, is that how it works? Say, oh, come on, give me money for advertising Coke. I don't drink Coke. I haven't drank Coke in years. Pretty much the same time as I gave up drinking Coke. I've only started drinking lemonade because I occasionally need that bit of sugar at the moment just to keep me on the up. Calci worms, yeah, but I like using flightless fruit flies, but the problem is, yet again, they can become like a pain in the butt. Like, I overbreed them, to be honest. I end up with way more than I need at any given moment. Because I like to rotate feeds. I'm going to do roaches and then I'll do waxworms, or you know what I mean. So I won't always be using the flies, and I just end up with too many. So quite often I end up freezing them anyways, and they're not live bait. Like, kind of defeats the purpose of the flies. They are a great size, obviously, and manageable for the ants. But yeah, I give them waxworms or roaches and stuff. Waxworms are really accessible to me, to be completely honest. And obviously I breed my own roaches and Mario worms. So they're just kind of, that's what my ants get. I mean, the other day, right, I was sat watching my beetles in their beetle enclosure, whatever it's called, beetle enclosure. And I just saw a Mario worm just crawling up out of the soil, came up all the way on top of their like egg carton thing, and was just sat there like, I was like, what? Like, just this full length Mario worm, like this big thing. I got in there with my tweezers and chucked it in some hot water and fed it straight to the ants. But I thought, what the, like, just so blatant, like Mario worm beetle or Mario beetles. I quite like the beetles. Like, I've got hundreds of them now, hundreds. And the big container I keep them in is actually a natural formicarium bin, but it's got the egg cartons and stuff on top of all the natural stuff, so that they've got the best of both. Now, I know you're supposed to take them out of the box every couple of months and let them go into a new box. I actually leave it a little bit longer. So I will leave the beetles until like there's a lot of Mario worms in there, because the substrate is quite deep as well. So they all kind of bury down, do what they've got to do. And then I'll scoop all the beetles out, chuck them into a new enclosure, and then I'll sift through all the soil and get out all that Mario worms and all of that stuff. And then a lot of that soil will then get ploughed straight, and it's all the soil has also got springtails, because I use springtails in all my enclosures, obviously. So that soil will then go into like my big soil tub that I keep, and I use to basically, I make all my soil bioactive. I add springtails and fertilizers and stuff like that before I make my tanks. So it's that basically. It's all the leftover soil and like all the fertilizer, the excrement from the beetles and stuff like that, all gets mixed in at the right rates, and like, yeah, it all gets added in some way. Nothing gets wasted here. It's brilliant. Complete cycles. Have green tea, it's really good for me. See, green tea is not something I've actually had since I was probably 13. I don't really know. Oh, thank you for coming in, Globe99 there on Twitch. It's nice to have you here lurking in the background. You need time to go. Katrina needs time to go through your Mario millipede tank to see what is actually in there. Yeah. See, I'm not, like I said, I've got a few things I need to get going with big tanks and things. Like, I want to do a complete overhaul on the Milano Plus bicolor tank, just because it's really boring for them. Like, it's a nice tank and they're enjoying their environment and it's sort of working for them, but visually there's nothing going on there. It's sort of like, it's just boring. You know what I mean? So I'm going to do an overhaul on their enclosure. I think the bullet ants are going to get something kind of done to their enclosure. I want to help the humidity within the bullet ant tank, strictly because it dries out so fast. I'm having to water it on a daily basis with a lot of water, but it is heated and it hasn't got a top. So what would I expect? You know, that's kind of obvious. And I've got some other stuff going on as well. You know me. What song do my Beatles like to sing? I don't really know. I can't speak Beatle, right? But if I could speak Beatle, it would probably be Hey Jude. Right? That's a pretty good song, isn't it? Let's be honest. If Beatles are singing stuff, it'd be that. You asked, or Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts, but yeah, that one. Yeah, that's a cracker of a song. I quite like that one. Poundland has succulent plants, quid each. Well, they should be a quid each at Poundland. You know what's really bad? When you go in a Poundland and things say a £5. What if I walked into it? There's some kind of other dimension where Poundland is no longer selling stuff for £1. It really does my head in, because you see a cool product and you're like, that can't be £1. It's not. It's not. Why is it in here then? God damn it. But yeah, Poundland has succulent plants. See, I've got quite a few succulents that I've grown, and they're doing really well, but they just wouldn't seem right in that tank, even though it is a dry environment. I don't know, it just wouldn't look right. I can't visualize it in that tank, you know what I mean? But yeah, I might go down and have a look at our local Poundland if they're there. But then you've got to think, are they being well looked after in Poundland? Do they really know how to look after succulents? Quite a few succulents aren't that easy to look after and quite easy to kill. I mean, there's a lot of that are easy, but there's a lot that are really easy to kill as well. And it makes you wonder, do they know what they're doing? Are they looking at... I always think that about Asda. When you see the plants outside Asda, it's just like, how long are they going to live? I don't know. I like to grow all my own plants. I've got buddings off buddings and whatever, I've got loads of plants, and that's how I've done it. Just growing them. But yes, you obviously have to start with something, but I get mine from a reliable source, basically. I will have a look at all your messages and stuff after the stream, Katrina, because if I go on it, we could lose contact, you know what I mean? It would just go black and there'll be nothing I can do. I don't know what happened earlier. My entire computer just kicked me off the internet. I wasn't even connected to a thing. It's like, what is going on? What? I'm getting fiber installed very, very soon. That's number 3 on the big list at the minute, I think. I think it's number 3. I've got a very, very big list. Big list. We're slowly working through getting all those jobs done. I think I'll stay until about 11 o'clock and then we'll call it a night, everyone, all right? We will have one last duck race before we go, obviously, because we've got to have another duck race, haven't we? I'm just looking at some beetles at the minute. There's 2 beetles doing the dirty on the stick highway thing upside down. How does gravity work for these beetles? If I could do that, my missus would have me climbing up some steps. Tyler's head. Right, hold on. Oh, okay. Now I get you. Is that something? No, I hadn't thought of that, right? So where is the chat? Is that where are we at? That side of the screen's the chat bar for you. So you can only see, stop like that. Is that right? You can see that, but if I was to do that, I need to work on that apparently then. So I need to take that into account because I did not realize that. I'll have a think. Right side. See, now on Twitch, I think it's below. But on mobile, it's underneath. So, right, I'll see what I can come up with, because I'm sure there'll be some kind of fix to it, you know what I mean? So on the big screen, it's there on the right-hand side. I'm sure there'll be a way to fix that. I'll write it on my list. There you go. You made the list. My pen's given up. It's got enough ink to write on my hand and make a mess, but it's not got enough to write on my notebook. It's the problem with pens these days. They just give up too early. Oh dear. Been one of those days. Been one of those days. But yeah, I'm super excited. Who's excited for the end of the month? I am. Do you know why I'm excited for the end of the month? I get to send out the first subscription boxes from Ants on the Rock. Like, it's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited to send them out. I'm excited to see people's reactions when they get everything that's inside. And yeah, like quite a few people have signed up now. So I'm super excited to start send them out, you know. Yeah, it's just super exciting times for me. You know what it's like. Okay, if you turn your phone that way, it will change. It will change. Oh, so if you have your phone upwards, it will be underneath. If you have your phone sideways, it will be on the side. Right. But the chat doesn't overlap the live recording, only on the viewer's screen. Okay, okay. Oh, wow. At least Dino knows. Dino knows everything when it comes to these streams, apparently. We should have him up here. So we'll get rid of me one night and we'll put Dean here and see if anyone notices. We'll put him in my hat and everything, like, and we'll see if anyone notices. Get him a vest. You'd be up for that, wouldn't you, Dean? Brilliant. Brilliant. Listen, I'm getting an ant costume for AntCon. That's going to be pretty cool, isn't it? I promised it, so I'm going to do it. It is, yeah, 10:41 in the UK, 10:42 now. Time keeps moving. I've tried to stop it, because if I could learn to stop time, do you know what I'd do? I'd get all my work done. I'd just stop time, get everything done, press play and go to bed and get some good hours sleep. Dean, we can get you in a vest, buddy. Like, I'm gonna get you all Ants on the Rock vests, and you'll have to wear it then, won't you? No, it'll be t-shirts. Have you seen this vest actually? Should I show you this vest? Hang on. So you can't really see it, but this vest has my name and all the athlete stuff. And this is actually the old version of my vest as well. The new version has a lot more information on it, because I've got all my merchandise and stuff for that side of my life as well. Like, don't forget, I'm a full-time athlete, and I do so much. But we're gonna get you in a vest, you know, like, yeah, start flexing it out and whatnot. You'll love it. You'll love being in a vest when you get in it. It is pretty cool, right? Like, people watching this on their telly, I must be huge. Like, that I should flex my biceps or something and get really big arms. That'd be awesome. But no, I won't do that. But yeah, who was it? Someone I knew had like a 72-inch telly, and the people on it were bigger than people. What's the point in that? Like they're having a conversation and you're looking from side to side. It's just too big at that point. My telly's like my downstairs is 50, I think, and upstairs is 32. I don't know. I had a 32 for many years. I was more than happy with that. When I was a teenager, you used to get these big square things. I had one which was about 16 inches, and it was further away from the wall than it was wide. You know what I mean? It was ridiculous. So yeah, I got myself, when I was 18, I managed to get a 32-inch, really cheap, like secondhand. And it still lasted now. Like I think my kids have it in their room. I managed to acquire another one, 50-inch. So there you go. I got a 50-inch in the living room and all of that lot. TVs are a right pain, aren't they? Like, I worry because they keep getting thinner and thinner and thinner. It's going to be like a piece of paper that's like going to snap. You know, I worry about handling things anyways, you know me, because of my big hands. Like, right, here's one thing. I have never met anyone with hands as big as mine. Excuse the kind of pen and whatever, but I actually have ridiculously big hands, even though I'm not that tall. Like, and I've got size 16 feet. If you didn't know that, right? By the time I was 16 years old, on my 16th birthday, I went and got size 16 feet shoes. So yeah, I've got massive hands, size 16 feet, but I'm not like even that tall. I should have been tall. It makes me think I should have been tall, but I did drink and smoke a lot as a youngster. So I probably stumped my own growth and screwed myself, but I should have been a lot taller by the seams of it. Yeah, I know. We need big gloves, Dean. That's the issue with it, right? I bought gloves and they're so tight. Like, what's the point? Like, they're falling off my wrist half the time. And like, they're just a general pain. I think Roger is counting down the time for us. Thank you, Roger. Yeah, big gloves. That's it, man. Like, shoes are like the hardest thing to come by. I used to have to go to this place. What's that place near Street? Have you ever been to Street? Ever heard of Street? They got like the big Clark's Warehouse or something like that. Cadbury's and all sorts of stuff there. Street is awesome, right? And they've got a place called like Big Men, Big Feet or something like that. And that was the only place I could get my shoes for years. When I was in foster care, I used to have to travel from Devon to Street. And then when I moved to this side of foster care in Dorset, I used to have to travel all the way to, it was like the one place I could get shoes that fit, unless I went to online and got them from America, which is just a whole nother hassle. Like, you got to pay for shipping for shoes. So, for God's sake, I'm not that bothered about my shoes. I'll just wear anything. Yes, you know Clark's Village. There you go. Like, Street's awesome. I've been to Street like since I was a little youngster. That's where my mum used to take me and stuff. Awesome. I can't remember what else is there. I know they have Cadbury's. There's some other shops that are really expensive, and I'm pretty sure they had pizza and donut vendors last time I went. That's what I remember. There was definitely pizza and there was definitely donuts, but I can't tell you if they were vendors or if I went into a shop. But I remember eating pizza and donuts. It's important to have a good, healthy, balanced diet. You've got your triangles, you've got your circles, right? So then you've got to find a square piece of bread to stick everything else in. Ham and cheese, all your squares go into your square, and your circles, like your donuts, you know. So you have a nice, balanced, shaped meal. That's really bad advice from a personal trainer, isn't it? Any of my clients ever watch this, do not take that piece of advice. Stick to your diet plans. Yeah, oh yeah, I know Newton Abbot. I can't think what other ones are there though. I used to live near Newton Abbot. Couldn't even tell you where it was though. I lived there for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I got so fed up that I walked about 40 odd miles to my last foster care. I was like, they are rubbish. What it was I moved in, right, and we all know as a teen I was a bit of a rebel, right? I used to drink and smoke and all of this. And they moved me into this place, and they were like, right, you can't smoke, full stop. You tell me I can't do something, I'm pretty much going to do it. And I'm going to do it even worse than I was going to do it in the first place. You know what I mean? That's just me. So there I was. I walked off. I was gone. And then after that, actually, it went really well. I moved to Torquay after that. Torquay was brilliant. The foster carers there were absolutely amazing. I'm still in contact with them now. Amazing people. Phenomenal people, actually. Can't really say enough about them. Just amazingly big-hearted, loving, caring people. Brilliant for the job, really. And Torquay was amazing. And then I moved over here, back to Dorset. I lived all over the place, over in Devon. Oakhampton was my main place. They do the 10 tours from Oakhampton. Chris was talking the other day that he's done the 10 tours. That was pretty cool. I always say, anyone that's done, no, he did the Prince of Wales, didn't he? Which involves 10 tours. Did he say he came down? I can't remember if he came down. I can't remember, I'm afraid. That's really bad of me. But yeah, the 10 tours is involved in the Prince of Wales quite often, isn't it? And that is like, anyone that does that, fair play to them. Fair play to them. It's hard work, you know. You've got to stay out in a tent and walk. Back when I was living on Devon, we used to have to do sponsored walks, like, because I was part of the rugby team. You used to have to jog it, and the thing was like, I don't know, 13 miles, 20 miles or something stupid, and you used to have to jog that. Now, as a teen, that sucked. As an adult, that's like a daily thing. Right? Oh dear. Right, who is up for a duck race? We have 6 people in the chat. I'm going to put on a duck race that will last until 11 o'clock. So it is going to be an 8-minute duck race. We have 6 people in the chat. So choose your numbers. Get your duck. And we are about to begin. Oh, we got Donald Trump duck. Donald Duck. Donald Trump. That one. We got Bumblebee duck. I'd like to say Statue of Liberty duck. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. Sherlock Holmes duck. Plain duck and plain duck. Right. Are we ready? Are we steady? Here we go. Donald Duck. Donald Trump duck. Oh, I can't even talk. What is wrong with me? Bumblebee duck's kind of having a good time. They all look really happy, don't they? That's the main thing. We want happy ducks. We don't want to be forcing them down the river against their will. As long as they're happy ducks and they're going down with a smile on their face, then it's ethical duck racing. Oh dear, oh dear. Thank you everyone for joining me tonight. It's been an absolutely brilliant time as always. I do appreciate you all coming in, keeping me company and listening to what I have to say. But that was an amazing interview with Tyler as well. Like I say, I'm really impressed with his knowledge and the way he's so open to helping everyone in the hobby. Like, much like myself, you know, that's pretty much my main goal in life, is to leave the place a better place than I found it, you know. Leave the hobby in a better situation than I found it. Leave the whole world in a better place than I found it. That's pretty much my goal. So I really sort of appreciate what he was saying there, sort of emulate as well. But again, thank you all for coming in. It has been absolutely amazing. Do you want to know who's on the next show? Whilst I've got my notebook in front of me. We have Mantis NI coming on Sunday. Now, if you haven't heard of Mantis NI, because he does mantises, but he used to be Ants NI, and he's with an amazing ant shop. He sent me my mannequin bidder, which are doing really well, as we all know. And he's a really nice guy, really knowledgeable, like really passionate about both hobbies. But he's absolutely killing the mantis scene at the minute. He's probably one of the like top mantis sales persons. I don't know, but he's killing the mantis scene. He's doing really well. So he's going to be coming on the show. He's also going to be at the exhibition as well, showing off some of his mantises and things like that. Because it's not just going to be strictly ants at this exhibition. There is a bit of variety as well to cater for everyone that's going to be there. Because it's a family event, you know. So I'm just going to make it really sort of enjoyable. See you later, everyone in the chat, anyone that's going now, I think, if I missed anything. So yeah, we got Mantis NI coming on. So if you've got any questions for him, if you're interested in mantises, check out his shop. At the minute, you can get a mantis and its enclosure for 30 quid, which I think is a really decent price, to be honest. I've been quite tempted by it myself. He also has mystery boxes available and things like that. And I know we all love a mystery box. That's kind of like, yeah, it's gold dust to us, isn't it? I love a mystery box. So I'll be getting one at some point, I expect. I'm not promising, but I expect like I'll give in at some point and be getting a mantis. So yeah, he'll be on. Check in for that stream. It's going to be awesome as always. And I have a video coming out on Saturday. I'm not going to tell you what it's about, but it's quite a good video. And I am going to start uploading those review videos as well. I've been so busy. I stop. I apologize for not being up to date and up with my timings, because I feel like I am sort of letting everyone down a bit. Anyone that is expecting those Monday review videos, I just haven't been able to get them uploaded. I've been so busy. My internet's like rammed full pretty much all the time. But I do apologize, and I will work harder to get everything uploaded on time and not delayed anymore. You know I don't want to let you down. Yeah, the mantises. You've got 2 mantises, Jazz. Like, I always thought it was MANTIS, but there's a D in it. I keep seeing this D. Do I pronounce the D? Mantis. It blows my mind. Like, where's this magic D come from? But anyways, you've got 2. What ones have you got? I'd be really interested. Your longest lived for 1.5 years. Brilliant. See, I do like them. Like, they're really pretty. There's obviously the normal, like, you get the giant mantises, don't you? But there's so many other ones that are really pretty and beautiful. And I think like not known about as much. Mantis is one. What? So what? Mantid? Oh, right, man. But do I pronounce the D? Mantid. Yeah, all right. It's so confusing. Oh, so you've got a spiny flower and a giant Asian. The giant Asian ones are super cool. What's the biggest thing that you fed to your giant Asian? We might have to get you onto the picnic table, Jazz, just to see your collection one night. That would be an interesting one, wouldn't it? Picnic table starring Jazz, pumpkin, and the spiny flower. Yeah, the spiny flowers. I think I've seen them. I've been looking at like orchid ones. I think I honestly don't know a lot about them yet. It's something I have to do a lot more research on before I commit to getting one. So it's mantids if it's more than one, or mantis if it's singular. Right. I'll try and remember that, because otherwise I'm going to get caught out on Sunday, aren't I? And everyone will be laughing because you all told me. And yeah, I'll do my normal thing and forget everything when I get talking and ramble on. You know what it's like when I get rambling. Oh yeah, Orchid Man. Yeah. You should do a picnic table on the open mic. I'm confused by that. We've got an open mic night on the 16th of March. And then again, we'll have another one the following month. We'll basically do at least one open mic night a month. At the exhibition for an hour, I will be doing a live picnic table stream where I'll just be grabbing people out of the crowd, asking like a few quick questions, like 5-minute quick fire interview sort of thing, grab someone else out of the crowd, and that will be a really great fun stream. So if you want to get on it then, like just for 5 minutes, we're here, it's going to be there. There will be a full schedule posted and everything like that, because there's going to be things going on in like every corner. It's going to be a really cool, busy day. Really cool. Right, who's going to win? Who's going to win? Number 5. Well done, Jazz. Number 5 finally came through for you. Well done. Well done. No prizes tonight, I'm afraid. I haven't prepared anything. I haven't thought of anything. And I haven't done enough maths to give away any prizes. She's still small, so she eats small locusts. Spiny flowers is a baby, so eating fruit flies. That's fair. Yeah. See, I don't quite understand the sizing, like L3, L4. I don't quite understand that thoroughly enough. Like I say, I need to do a lot more research. Like maybe I need to talk to you, Jazz. Maybe we need to have a good long conversation about mantis keeping, because I don't have a clue with mantids. So maybe you'll have to impart some knowledge my way. And, you know, I always appreciate a bit of help as well. But yeah, I am going to call it a night. You guys and girls have absolutely been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me again. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you to Tyler for coming on as well. I'm pretty sure he enjoyed chatting to you all. Like, enjoyed the stream. Of course he enjoyed chatting to you. Oh my God, what am I saying? What am I saying? But right, I'm going to love you and leave you. Good night all. If you need me at all, I am on Discord. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. You can find my Patreon. You can find anywhere you want apart from Twitter and TikTok, pretty much, because I just don't understand them. If someone wants to do a Twitter account for Ants on the Rock, get in contact with me, because we can always branch out to Twitter and I can give you the stuff to do it. I just ain't got a clue what I'm doing. But get in contact with me, because I'm always looking for extra help and extra recruitment, and I've got lots of extra jobs coming up soon that people can help with. Yeah. I love you all. Thank you for joining me. Good night, everybody. So as always from me, I'll see you again soon, Ant fans.